The Russian assault group included 4 tanks and 19 armored personnel vehicles, which were supposed to offload the soldiers close to the Ukrainian defensive lines. Ukrainian paratroopers inflicted heavy damage on a Russian assault group trying to overrun their positions near Pokrovsk. Vladimir Putin's army is advancing on the key transport and logistical hub after capturing Avdiivka and Vuhledar in Ukraine's Donbass. Volodymyr Zelensky's troops are desperately trying to hold on to the city, the capture of which would be a huge setback for Ukraine. Russian commanders attempted an assault on positions defended by Ukraine's 79th Separate Air Assault Brigade in the Kurakov sector, south of Pokrovsk. The Russian assault group included 4 tanks and 19 armored personnel vehicles, which were supposed to offload the soldiers close to the Ukrainian defensive lines. However, they were quickly spotted and came under intense fire from the Ukrainian paratroopers, who used kamikaze drones and anti-tank weapons to repel the attack. Images of the ferocious battle released by the paratroopers show a succession of Russian armored vehicles sustaining direct hits and exploding into flames. The Russians sustained heavy losses and were forced into a humiliating retreat from the battlefield. In total, 5 armored vehicles, BMPs, and 1 tank were wiped out in the course of the intense firefight. Another 3 BMPs and a tank were damaged. In addition, 24 Russian soldiers were reported killed, while 20 were injured. In a statement accompanying the video of the battle, the 79th Separate Air Assault Brigade said, "Our paratroopers once again organized a warm welcome for the invaders." Russian attacks in the Kurakov sector have intensified in recent weeks as the Russians attempt to make a major breakthrough. Putin's army launched 59 assaults in the sector in just 1 day over the weekend, according to Ukraine's military. In one offensive, they tried to break through Ukraine's defensive lines and capture the village of Maximilianivka. The Russians deployed 7 tanks and 11 infantry fighting vehicles in the attack. The 46th Brigade claimed to have destroyed 7 pieces of Russian equipment. 2 more damaged tanks managed to roll back, the brigade said. The fate of the 28 fleeing Russian soldiers is unknown, the unit added. Russia has suffered the 3rd greatest single day of losses of troops in Ukraine since Russia began its full-scale invasion in February 2022, according to the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. The ministry's post on X, formerly known as Twitter, says Russia lost 1,630 personnel on October 25th, amounting to a total of 685,910 Russian soldiers lost since the beginning of the war. The Ministry of Defense's post, with information about additional losses of weapons and vehicles, was accompanied by the quote, "Out of difficulties grow miracles," by Jean de la Bruyère. The highest number of soldiers Russia has lost in a single day was 1,740 on May 12th. The previous second highest number of Russian troops lost earlier this month was 1,530 men in 1 day. According to the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine's post on X, Russia also lost 33 armored fighting vehicles, 34 artillery systems, 7 tanks, 1 air defense system, 73 UAVs, 79 vehicles and fuel tanks, and 22 pieces of special equipment today. Since Monday, Russia has lost 7,390 troops in Ukraine, according to Armed Forces of Ukraine's figures. Russia has also lost 188 artillery systems, 383 UAVs, 176 armored fighting vehicles, and more since Monday. Moscow also had rising losses of UAVs and artillery systems through last month, and they have only fallen this past month. In addition to high losses of Russian troops, Moscow's artillery losses amounted to $8 billion in 2024 alone. These Russian losses come after the US confirmed that Pyongyang had deployed troops to Russia after similar reports were made by South Korea and Ukraine. White House spokesperson John Kirby said that he believes 3,000 North Korean soldiers are being trained in Russia, after South Korean intelligence released satellite photos of North Korean soldiers training in Russia's Far East. Russian President Vladimir Putin appeared to confirm the presence of North Korean soldiers in Russia, as he told foreign journalists, "Images are a serious thing. If there are images, they reflect something." Regarding the South Korean satellite images, Putin also noted the newly signed security treaty between Russia and North Korea, which has a mutual defense clause. The South Korean spy agency also estimated that North Korea will send up to 12,000 soldiers to Russia by December. The deployment of North Korean soldiers to fight in Ukraine marks the country's first foreign war in its history. Moscow is deploying soldiers from its strategic missile forces, who typically specialize in the operation of nuclear weaponry, to Ukraine. The deployment comes as Russia faces dwindling troops in its offensive against its neighbor. The soldiers are expected to serve as infantry in Russia's invasion, according to Militarny, a Ukrainian media outlet that covers the military. The units were formed in late summer this year and deployed to combat, the outlet reported. The report added that the units likely did not involve specialists directly responsible for the use of nuclear weaponry, but support personnel. Citing a Russian activist group that outfitted the newly formed unit with equipment for the war, Militarny reported that the unit was given civilian Chinese radio stations, as it had not been provided with necessary means of communication.
Орудие!